This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for therapy, professional advice, or mental health treatment. This podcast does not establish a professional relationship of any kind. Listeners are encouraged to seek support from a licensed mental health provider if needed. We make no representations or warranties regarding the accuracy, completeness, or applicability of the content. The views expressed by the co-hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Mic check, mic check.
Welcome to Adulthood,
the ultimate scam, the absolute ghetto.
a podcast where two Caribbean-raised sisters talk openly about the good, the bad, and the hood of adulting.
I'm Z.
And I'm D. Let's get into it. Ooh, what are we talking about today?
Ooh.
First of all, I think we nailed that intro. Being that this is our second episode, welcome back, everyone.
Yes, it is. Welcome back.
A-gang. I should probably not do that. Almost did gang signs, and I don't even know gang signs.
So I said we're gonna get on the watch list if we keep doing.
I got a little carried away with the team, with the name that we've given the viewers.
Mm-hmm. We gotta be careful with the hand. Just keep your hand down, girl. Keep your hand down.
Like
Don't talk with them.
Okay. You're right.
What are we talking about today, sister?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's check in. Mm-hmm. Let's check in. How are things since our last episode? How are you doing?
Things are good. Right now I'm tired though. Like now I'm really tired.
I mean, technically it's about 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Have you seen that on the show How I Met Your Mother? They used to have a line that said nothing good happens after. Was it 2?
I thought it was midnight. Nothing good happens in the midnight, but I do remember that.
So then we're really fucked.
We're big fucked.
You know, I thought it was 2. I thought we had time.
Oh no. 12, girl. I am so tired, but listen, we're gonna power through and we're gonna do our big one on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What we talking about? Today's topic is... You don't want to
check in with me.
Oh, sister, check in. Talk to me, girl. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes, I have these feelings and you only checking about your feelings.
Fucking ambush. That was an ambush. What the hell just happened?
I'm so sorry.
Oh, God. We got the 2 a.m. scaries. But what about you, sis? How you doing? What's happening?
I am... I actually was having this, reflection recently that I feel a deep sense of, gratitude for just where I am right now. Mm-hmm. There are moments, and I think everyone could attest to this, where it's oh my gosh, I feel like I'm down in the shits. Mm-hmm. And then I think there are moments where this week I'm things are okay. One day at a time. Yeah. It'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I know that's short-lived of an attitude because I will go down. I would be you know what? This is the hardest day ever. But for now, I'm things are doing okay.
And it's the ability to bounce back too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it might be short-lived. Yes, you might go down, have a down day or feel oh my God, I'm not doing enough. But then, yeah, you'll quickly pick that up. Yeah, quickly pick it back up. So I think
bounce back game strong.
We'll workshop that. Don't worry about it. We'll workshop it, boo.
So we're talking about our moves this episode and just adulting and the transitions that come with moving. I think on some level, whether it's moving out of the house or moving to a whole nother country. Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new experience, comes with its own challenges.
Whole new
world.
There we go. So I didn't want to hit that note. I left that note for you. So I'm glad you caught it. Really glad you caught it. Mm-hmm. We said this last episode that we've moved. Obviously, we don't live in the same city.
Yep. I live in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. And then I live in California, LA. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you and I have really sat down to talk about just our moves in general, because we've had moves even before the one you made to Toronto and I moved to LA.
Oh yeah, I've had a ton too.
What's your recollection of the moves you've had in your life?
Man, first move I remember was going to, do we want to go all the way back? where we were born and all that good stuff, or just talk about the first
we might as well just tell people your government name now.
Okay, I got it, girl. Okay, girl. we're just gonna go right back to like, okay. So yeah, I mean, my first move that I do remember is moving to the Virgin Islands from Grenada.
Was I born yet?
When we moved, no.
Okay.
When we moved, it was me, your dad, and my mom.
Oh. Okay.
And our mom. Sorry. Yeah, I remember moving. I think we moved when I was maybe 4, 5. And we were there all the way up. Well, I was there for a shorter time. So I left like 2 years before primary school would be over. So I can go back to Grenada to finish primary school. So I remember moving back to Grenada in maybe 98, 99, I think. And then from there, I remember moving to... I was there all the way up until like Form 3. First term Form 4, and then I moved from Grenada to St. Lucia in 2003-04, I think, and then I moved again for university in 20.
Oh, you made a big move. What made you choose England?
I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. I didn't want to go to UE. I didn't want to... And at the time, I didn't know about the move to Canada. Like, I didn't know some of my friends were coming to study in Canada. Like, I never knew that. It was either UE or the US. And I had a friend who I knew from Grenada who was studying in England. And so he kind of recommended his university to me. And then that's kind of how I got connected and went to study.
Were you scared to make that move?
No.
I mean, how old were you?
You're naive, right? You're naive at that age. You're not thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You kind of have that invincibility complex still.
Oh, for sure.
And so, yeah, no, there was not a lick of nerves. And I had never been to England before.
Jeez.
Never been to England before. But anyway, I moved in 2007. Then I was there for 3 years. Moved back to St. Lucia. And then I was in St. Lucia.
Found yourself a man.
Found myself a man. Had a whole child. And then I moved to Canada in 2018. And then here we are, married, still got my one child.
Some people ask me, like, would I ever make another move? Like, would I move here? Would I move there? And I said, do you know how many times I have moved? I think I moved out. Like, I
know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I hear that.
I need a moment.
Yeah.
I need a moment to settle.
Yeah, Denny and I talk about it all the time, too. He talks about moving back to St. Lucia.
Yes.
I don't know. That's a toughie for me right now.
It's hard. It's definitely hard to think about that.
It is hard.
I don't even remember half of my moves. I think I moved... The moves that I remember, probably only one very late. But I know that I moved at some point to Grenada. And then I know at some point I moved to St. Lucia, and that's the move that I remember. Is actually moving to St. Lucia. And I get the question of, like, this is a little bit of a tangent, but answering the question around moves. Okay, when people ask where I'm from, what do you say?
Depends on who's asking. You know, if it's someone who I have, like, no ethnic connection with, I say the Caribbean.
Okay.
Simply.
And then they're like, oh my God, where?
No, exactly. They dive in a little bit. I say it gets complex. And I say Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia.
Oh, shit.
I typically give them all 3.
I say St. Lucia.
Going to I'm born here, I'm born there. Okay.
I say St. Lucia when they ask where I'm from. And this one time I was on the plane. This was actually very recently. And this guy on the plane, he was in first class. I was like, oh, should I even talk to a first class guy? But he was wearing this, like, Grenada hat or something like that. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, you're from Grenada? Because we were nowhere close to Grenada. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool to see this man on the plane with this hat. And he's like, oh, okay. Where are you? Like, where in Grenada? And I was like, oh, my God.
Stumped.
I was like, I know where I'm from. But in this given moment... bringing up the geographical landscape. God damn.
Stumped you.
It stumped me, and I looked like a fool.
Oh.
I looked like an absolute fool.
I hear that.
I said, you know what? I'm just keep walking down the aisle and go find my seat. Because I was on the plane.
Did you answer?
I said, It was an awkward long
That
pause.
man
And you know,
thought-
everyone in front of me has already gone to put their bag up. And the people behind me are probably listening to this conversation like this person is a fraud.
Wait. So you didn't have an answer? You just go, I don't.
No,
You just
and
continue.
then I said Tempe, and he
Oh,
was
good.
like,
Okay.
He said St. George's.
Yeah.
then. And I was like, yes, because he had what parish I was from.
Wow. You went with the vernacular.
Yeah.
Parish. Okay.
And I was like, God damn, what parish am I from?
No, you didn't confuse that.
Anyways, it was the most embarrassing thing ever. So, I say St. Lucia from where I'm from.
I hear that.
Just because when I lived in Grenada, I lived there for, would you say 7 years, 6 years? Of time.
Same amount of time you were in St. Lucia, to be honest, but it was a different stage of life.
Different stage of life,
Yeah.
right?
Memory development, all that
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
I went to primary school, latter half of primary school, and then all of secondary school there.
Yeah.
And then after St. Lucia, moved to California. And I think the reason I moved to California was because of an aunt. And I was like, okay, so that's the other thing I think is interesting. I made the assumption that there had to be a move after secondary school.
Okay.
I thinking back, hindsight, maybe I had more thought process in the moment, but hindsight, I don't remember having this long debate of staying or moving.
Okay. I can see that.
Did you, on the outside, saw me have this dialogue?
Not really. Well, it was twofold. I think...
Oh, you're gonna mention me coming out situation?
Oh God, no! Whoa, no! I was,
The viewers are gonna think you said, "Oh God, no!" Like,
yeah, no. There's a lot of no's. I think it was twofold. I think sometimes our parents make investments in us and they want to see it pay off. And I knew that one of the ways that my invested in you meant you had to leave. You had to go and experience life in the U.S.
Yeah,
that was one.
But why?
And wait, the second piece is that you always dreamt of becoming a model or an actress, and you wanted to be in media. And you had an aunt who lived out here, and it was like, you know what, Ma was like, listen, education's first, but I'm gonna put you and set you up in a place where, okay, if you do get a good education, you can decide, like, listen, maybe I don't want to do an education route, I can go into media. True. I think those two things are what played the most major roles in why you came to the US.
And I had visited California before for the acting camp.
We did that in New York.
There was 2, right? Didn't I visit this side? Because then I remember we went down to like Malibu area on that. Oh, it's the same trip but different.
Same trip but different thingies. Yeah,
cities.
Yeah,
completely.
One was a visit, and you did the No.
But yeah, so chose California, moved out here pretty young. I think I would also say I felt a bit invincible. I don't think I thought about all the things, like you said, that could go wrong with a move like this. Yeah. And then even in California, made another move down to Southern California. So I moved to Northern, then went down to Southern California. So I moved out.
Completely moved. Sure. I hear that.
Yeah.
I think about it, but I think about it more so, or at least I'm more accepting of the idea of moving within Canada than moving out of Canada. But, you know, we don't know where life is going to take us and how that's going to look. Yeah. But, you know, I'm trying to keep all possibilities open.
Yeah. Do you get the question asked, would you move back?
I do. Yeah. But, like, mostly by my hubby, right? Like, he considers it, I think, really, he loves island life. I mean, we all love island life, right? But he, like, really loves island life. And so, I think he eventually does want to move. The question is just a matter of when, how far in the future, how soon, right? But we'll see. We'll make the best decisions for ourselves and for Leilani and what we can do.
You know this is going to come up really funny. Half of these things I sometimes feel so embarrassed to talk about, because I think there is an aspect of maybe how young I moved, how at this point I've been living in America for 12 years, which is longer than I ever lived in St. Lucia.
Anywhere. As long as you've ever lived anywhere.
And in one place for that long.
Yes, actually, okay, yes.
And wherever I've ever moved, I've never felt
Like you belong.
Like I belong.
Yes.
I was always a foreigner.
Yeah, you're a little piece of this, a little piece of that, a little piece of everything. Yeah.
I had accents that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Still do.
Yes, I was just about to say that. We still do.
Right?
No, okay. I'm not saying you. I was just saying we all still do.
Still do. They just don't make sense. They don't fit into a nice little box. And so sometimes I get embarrassed talking about the nuances of what I would say is like a multicultural identity. Like, yes, we are Black and all of these things, but like very much this like multi.
I'm wondering if like there's an opportunity to reframe that. I think we get to be multidimensional. I think we get to be like that's our superpower.
It is. I think it's a superpower, but I think it's also there's a part of me that does not feel enough of one thing, especially historically, like in terms of knowing history. Sorry.
Okay.
Because I was never a history buff. I could care less about history till I am now where I, like in this age, in this position that I am, the jobs that I hold, I'm a lot more connected to knowing history than I've ever been. Mm-hmm. And so I think it gets a little hard for me to talk to other people about, they're like, oh, St. Lucia.
Tell you about St. Lucia. Yeah.
I had someone say they visited Jamaica. Oh, yeah. They said they grew up in Jamaica, went to school in Jamaica, and they live out here. Actually, they lived on the East Coast and went to Jamaica at some point. And they said they were going to visit this place in Jamaica. I'm not even going to say it because I'm just going to embarrass myself. Because I remember them saying this to me and I'm just nodding. Like, yeah, I know that place. Yeah, that's really cool. Immediately after, I had to Google
it. I see.
And I was like, oh my God, am I Caribbean enough for this? Like, it just, I'm constantly...
Are you any of these nationalities enough? Any of these cultures enough? I hear that. I hear that. I feel that as well. But I see for you though, Danielle, like I feel like you have the opportunity to move and live anywhere. And I see like one day you may decide, you know what, I'm just going to pack up and go live in the Caribbean for a few years. Do something like teach at UE or like run a practice. Right? Like I feel like that's in your future. I just don't want to
drive. So that's the barrier. Yeah, I know that's like left field, but hear me out. See the way the road is set up?
There barely is any.
Yeah. And I take up some space when I drive.
And speed.
Yeah, and I appreciate stop signs and traffic lights and respect on the road and
we love
an
our
adherence
islands,
to rules. No overtaking. You know, just
what we're not
few
gonna do is no rules. Yeah,
that I appreciate that I just don't know how driving would look. That is the only barrier for me of moving back.
You know what my like left field is? Not the only barrier, but you know what my left field is? What? My silly left field? Frogs.
Ooh.
Can't do it. Ain't never seen one.
Since you moved?
In Toronto. Listen, I'd be walking in and out of my house.
Frogs in the city?
Doing what? What they gonna be doing?
Ribbit?
No. No, ma'am. Not on my doorstep. I don't have to worry. I don't have to shine a light to see where I'm walking. No.
You know what I think is so funny? Your mother's, I don't even know if this is her favorite animal, but the thing she loves to collect in terms of statues of frogs. Yeah. And I think she does that on purpose to just
jar me.
And she shows them to you too. She's so excited to show you her frog statues, knowing that you dislike frogs.
I'm allergic. Deathly allergic. Get it right.
You are not allergic.
Deathly. Don't forget that piece. You're right. I'm not allergic. I'm deathly allergic.
Correction. Yeah. Correction. Absolutely. No, but that's a good question of like, what is the thing that's the thing we're hang up about moving back? So yours is frogs and mine is driving. That's rational for both of us. On the same level.
In our own context. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But you mentioned like moving away at 16 and sometimes feeling a little bit of like embarrassment about that and our history and stuff. Would you have done it any differently though? Like in hindsight, what would you have done differently about your moves? That's the question I have.
Oh my gosh. What would I have done differently in hindsight about my moves? I would do it again. I would move away again. Maybe I would have gone to A-levels and then moved. I feel like I've missed out on the whole culture of A-levels. There's like, it's just really, really minor. But even things like, wait, y'all didn't hang out together when I knew y'all. but then they went to A levels together, and then they were like friends. Like just seeing the regrouping of people, the experiences they had. That for me was like, whoa. I also never got to experience being an adult in the Caribbean, and I have to explain that to people.
Yeah,
here of. I don't. There's certain things I absolutely don't know because I didn't have to care about it as a teenager.
Yes,
in the way that you would care about it as an adult in St. Lucia, for example. So I think I would probably have stayed a little bit longer, but I probably would still have left.
I heard it.
And then in staying longer, learn to drive.
Oh yeah. Oh, learn to drive.
So then this whole thing about driving would be so much easier. What about you though? Would you do differently with your moves?
Man,
especially because you moved to Toronto with Leilani when she was.
I did indeed. I think what I would have done differently was, like, I can see it at 2 points. Like, I either would not have come back after, like, permanently. I would not have gone back to St. Lucia after university.
Oh, you would have left me, bitch?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You kind of seem excited right now thinking about that.
No, I was gonna say something, but yeah, I might not have come back like permanently, or I would have moved to Canada sooner. So I'd come back, did some years, but I'd have moved like out of St. Lucia sooner than I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why though? Why would you have made that decision differently?
Because sometimes I wonder what if, right? Like
Okay.
I still find myself wondering what if. As much as I, love my family and what I do now, I wonder what if.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's always this question of like, what could this life have looked like if I had made this decision differently or
sooner and all things. Yeah.
Okay. Something else I thought about on the topic of moving, but not necessarily fully on the topic of moving, a little bit of a tangent again. I actually had a student ask me, came to my office and was like, this is not the purpose of why they came to my office, but at some point, they were asking about what would it be like to raise a kid in America? Because we were both immigrants, the student and I.
Okay.
And I said, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. I do not know what to expect in raising a kid here. Like, there's just certain things, and she was saying, and we were both saying, like, you could just go outside and, like, things are just so different in the norms and expectations of children here than children there. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know how to make that translate. Yeah. And not get so worried about doing it, quote unquote, wrong when at this point, this is just the new normal. Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, that's currently my reality. I mean, granted, I can appreciate that there are things different about things stateside versus Canada. I get that. But raising my daughter in the North American context is very interesting for me. She's a very social being. There are things that they do in Canada that I wasn't necessarily afforded the opportunity to. I don't know if it's afforded. I wasn't allowed to do as a kid. And between her dad and I, we're trying to strike a balance between the values we were raised with and we want to impart, and then the ones that are just a reality of her environment that we need to kind of go easy on. And we're like, we're towing that line and learning how, especially now that we're getting into like preteen. She likes to say, I'm a preteen. But that comes with its own challenges. So much so that, like, this is, again, maybe another tangent, but like, there are TV shows I used to watch when I was living in St. Lucia as an adult that I don't watch now that I live in North America with my daughter and my husband. Say that again?
There are TV shows that I would watch in St. Lucia as an adult. Like, I'm an adult at that point, and I'm watching, for example, SVU. Oh, yes. I can't watch that now. No. It's a little too close. It's a little too like, real. Yeah, you're like, I'm here in these streets. Yes. No. Yes. I can't do that. Yeah.
SVU also, actually, just a little side tangent, will come back. Yeah. SVU also landed very differently to me watching it in America than I did before. Correct. Yeah, it just feels so real, like you said.
Correct. Because you're now like in the environment that they're talking about. In the city. We were in our Caribbean bubble, and it's like, okay, look at these North American people. Okay. that's their problems, right? And then now, like, you're living it with my little human, and it's like, yeah, no, this is a little too real for me. So yeah, it's difficult raising a kid in North America, is what I'm trying to say, and it's striking a balance is so important.
It is. Do you ever worry about your kid? And this is maybe really different for you because you're the firstborn. 2, your kiddo lived in St. Lucia for like 3 years or so. But for me, there was this worry of like, because of all the moves and things like that, will they feel rooted in their Caribbean ancestry and connection, right? Or will this kid look me dead in the eye, say I'm American?
And that's it. That's on Mary and all her lambs.
All her lambs. And I said, you need to go back and find Mary. Like, let's go talk to Mary together. You know?
You know what? I think that looks different in every parenting, like in every household, every Caribbean household in the diaspora, because I think it goes back to like the familial relationships and the roots that are there. It's either you have the roots yourself, like you already have it in you, or you know someone who's still there that can pass it on. That's really beneficial. But if you feel like you're untethered, that's where it becomes a little challenging, because now you can't give it and no one else.
St. Lucia.
I hear that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you do have family in Grenada.
Yes.
Yeah, and so
now I have to reconnect to those roots.
Correct. Right. So like if you want to pass it on,
for sure,
right? Or you make intentional time to go back home. Like there's this friend I went to school with, and I noticed she takes her boys back.
Yeah,
she lives somewhere in the UK, and she takes her boys back to Grenada. Not every summer, but like for prolonged periods of time, so that they can get to experience kind of what island life is like, and hopefully that helps them tether. Because I believe her dad still lives in Grenada, so like there is still a tether. Right? In my case, I mean, I'm hoping I'm passing it on. Leilani gets to go every summer so far, right? And spend it with like her god sister and her cousins and her her dad's parents and stuff, right? And there's a little bit of a tether there.
Yeah.
You can also keep it alive in other ways too, though. Let me be honest. Things like music, storytelling, food.
I need to learn how to cook.
Yeah. Terry Ann's Kitchen Girl on YouTube. Yeah. Yep. Or books. You got to look for the books by some of the really good Caribbean authors. We have authors, you know, throughout the Caribbean, in all of the countries that we've lived in, that you can kind of pass on stories, pictures, right? I think there are ways
really
to pass
profound
it on.
ways to do that.
Yes, but you have to be that's the word right now.
Sister, did I just read your mind?
Yes, you did. But you got to be intentional. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
It's very true.
All right, so why do you think, as a family, or maybe even as a society, we focus more on getting out of the Caribbean than returning to the Caribbean?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. Here's my thought process on this, right? At the time, I don't think we use this language anymore, but I'm just going to use it. First world versus not first world. I think there is this what's the word that I'm looking for? Emphasis on going to the first world as if it's this like better magical place.
It's romanticized.
It's real. That's the word I'm looking for. It's truly romanticized. Yeah. And you know, a lot of the media that we had watched at that time, television shows, I wasn't watching Caribbean shows.
No, we were watching Saved by the Bell and iCarly.
We wanted to go up in San Francisco and be part of that family. What's the one?
Oh my God, Full House.
Full House. I wanted to be in the Full House.
You did.
My black ass.
You did. Oh, and
yeah,
that's what she said.
Like, it didn't click for me that wouldn't like
be your reality. Yeah.
We are not on a hill.
And
this house is not full. You know, there's isolation in moving abroad.
There is isolation in moving.
I think that's part of the emphasis, that we don't even realize the reach. Colonialism,
colonialism, right?
No, I almost said colonoscopy. And I teach. That's crazy.
I know.
So that word, you want to say it?
Colonialism.
There you go.
Yes.
The reach that it has on like just so many different countries. That feels like, quote unquote, the better life. I also want to recognize that you and I having this conversation, that felt like the magical place to go, is also a reflection of our privilege. That we even had the capacity to dream that would be
a reality
one day for us. in some way, like moving in some way. So
yeah,
I recognize this is probably not for everyone, that
Yeah.
they're like, oh, launching means leaving.
Yes.
But there is a strong emphasis that in order to make it or to get the career that you want, you have to leave to do that.
Yeah.
And you are right. It's interesting that there are not a lot of conversations about, okay, sure, you leave to get the skills or whatever,
and then you come back and put them into use.
But I don't hear that piece.
No,
and I do wish there was a conversation around what it would look like to come back and use the skills.
Yeah, yeah. And typically the trend is that you come back for retirement.
Yeah.
And that's a very short time if you really think about the grand scheme of life and our
lifespan.
Like the lifespan, correct, right? Our retirement years are short, right? And so come back to the Caribbean in your retirement years, you have no, I mean, I won't say you're no use to anyone, but you're certainly not in your like a peak of your practice, so to speak, right? So
in your career practice, the skills that you would be bringing back, you're not in the peak of that.
You're not on the tail end.
So now you're actually using resources and actually aiding, giving to the resources.
Yes. And I listened to a video recently with this woman who was talking about why she moved back to Jamaica. I think she lived in Canada for a number of years, and she had left Jamaica to go live in Canada because, again, living in foreign was a big deal, and it was romanticized, and it was supposed to be this better life, and supposed to have access to more things and like be better. And she said she struggled for years there. She couldn't even buy a place. And I mean,
in Jamaica?
No, in Canada. She couldn't buy a place in Canada where she had moved to.
Like, it was unhappy move.
Yeah, right? And then, because she realized at the time, too, it wasn't all it was struck up to be, sorry. And then, so she moved back to Jamaica and she bought a place there. And she's saying, this idea of moving to foreign is a trap, because you go there, you can't necessarily achieve the same life standard that you would if you had, like, returned or stayed, right? Like, it's hard to buy a home abroad, but then the people from abroad can come buy places in the Caribbean in the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little crazy when you think about it.
It is a little crazy, and I think even you just saying that, sometimes, okay, I don't think people realize the, what is the word that I'm looking for? Like, the houses that exist in the Caribbean. When I first moved, I love me a tangent.
Yeah, I realize, girl. I'm seeing that, girl. I'm with you.
You clocked that, right?
I did clock that.
One of the first times that I was out in Northern California, I was going to community college. I had someone actually ask me what we wore. And I was confused.
Like, what do you mean?
Clothes?
What do we wear?
Do you
like
mean?
clothes?
No. They were genuinely wondering if there was like banana
straw
leaves
outfit. Okay.
Jesus,
not even straw. They gave us the banana leaves, like, okay? Straight.
And I say that to say, when I was like living in an apartment, and this like box, let's just call it apartment, a box.
Because that's what they are.
And I'm like, I left. People don't know the house I lived in.
Yes.
Does that make like?
You know what other culture I see that happening to a lot? African cultures. They be living in some mansions in Africa, and then just like us, they sometimes move to the first world and they're living in this little box, like you said. Yeah.
The
That's
reality
interesting.
Of that is just. Yeah,
you have to do it intentionally and do it with like the plan to go back. If really and truly your goal is to move back, you gotta do it intentionally.
Yeah,
I feel like. But anyway,
yeah,
I digress, my friend.
All right, so
okay, girl.
Maybe let's ask this one question before we go on to our next segment.
Talk to me.
What's next for you? If you have any conceptualization of that, like, what's next for you as it maybe relates to moves and things like that?
Man, like, I'm not in a hurry to move back to St. Lucia, right? But I do hope that if I do have to leave to go back, or leave, period, like leave Canada, period, that I would have left something behind. Like, maybe I'd have invested in property or a fully funded education for Leilani. Like, I want to make sure that there's something I do and I leave behind, so to speak.
Yeah.
In the event that I do decide to move back. And I think that's kind of my focus, at least for the next few years, is Leilani's education and trying to get that down payment for that home, girl. Yeah,
the hustle.
The hustle, man, the hustle.
And adulthood continues.
It continues. It never stops. And I think like like you feel that pressure as a parent a lot more. I don't know, girl.
yeah.
I feel it as a parent because it's like I got somebody else. I can't just wake up one day and say, listen, for
Fuck
a month
this
I'm gonna
shit.
have well, okay.
Do you
not
say
really.
that?
Oh,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
actually, I do.
That's like kind of my national anthem. Like besides praying, I be saying that too.
Oh, in the same breath.
Oh gosh, no, not the same breath. Oh.
Okay.
Jesus, I know you know it ain't the same breath. But no, I pray every day, and I also say fuck this shit every day. Oh yeah, 100%, 100. But balance. But what I was saying was, like, I can't just wake up one day and decide, okay, to save money fast, I'm gonna like have ramen every day for 30 days. I can't do that. I got other mouths to feed. Ain't nobody eating ramen every day. You know what I mean? Like you can't you can't control what everyone else's intake is. You can control yourself, but like I've got 2 other people with me. So so the hustle continues. I gotta be intentional and keep going. Yeah. What about you? What's next for you? What do you think your next big move is?
I don't think I have a move in me right now. Like
you're all moved out.
I'm moved out, like I said. But I do think a dream that I have next that I would like to realize is how do I not continue to take the skills and never give back? And so I'm really thinking about what's next for me in giving back.
To the communities that
giving back to the communities that raised me, that made me who I am. And I mean that in the ways that I could specialize in, like people's mental well-being, right? Like how could I give back to that? And
that
also
too in charity. I see people doing a lot of charity too. I mean, I don't know if that's meaningful or tied to your values. I'm just saying that's also another way. So
charity, yes. I sometimes I think the word charity seems like, oh my gosh, I'm out here living my best life. I'm gonna give you charity. I need charity.
I hear that.
You know, I need charity. Before we move on to chat,
don't forget me in the donations. Thank you.
I'm front of line. But I just mean like workshops and retreats and services and things that like that.
And I see that for you.
Yeah.
I see that for you.
I really want to be able to do that, or just on a board that I could provide like, you know, advisory, whatever it could be. And also being very intentional about staying connected to my culture, whatever that means. I think that's what's next for me.
I see it for you. I want that for you. Let's manifest it, girl. It's coming. Oh, she went all the way.
Is that not how we manifest?
It's that Libra.
We didn't say. Did we say I was a Libra already?
Well, now they know.
Now they know. Okay.
Now they know. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Next segment, huh?
So,
what we got now, sis? Ooh,
popcorn and pop culture.
Okay, my fave.
I like this. Me too.
Yeah, me too. I
Oh
love a good Netflix. Love a good cinema.
Netflix and
not us. That ain't us.
No,
we ain't chilling.
No, no chill around here. Netflix and adulthood. No, it doesn't sound right either.
We'll work on it. But
we'll circle back.
We'll circle back.
That. What are you watching? What's up?
Oh, Forever. Did I or did I not binge it in like 48 hours?
Forever, the show.
Forever on Netflix. So good. So
I was skeptical. I'm watching it too. I was skeptical because it was about teenagers, and I actually, you know, I've watched teen-based shows like Grownish and all of this.
Oh, I didn't watch that. I really want to watch not Adultish. What's the other one? Started with Blackish, and then Grownish. Yes. I do want to watch those. Yeah,
they were good. There's something about this one that I was like, oh, like, you know, I don't know. I need some adult. Maybe because we're talking about adulthood. I was like, I don't want to watch about teenagers. But I also saw a post on Instagram that piqued my interest about this show.
Parallels?
And no, it said, I didn't scroll through the entire thing, but it said, this is not a Black trauma film or a Black trauma TV show.
Okay.
There is no trauma.
I saw
there
that.
Is no...
They were very aware.
There is no trauma in this. Like, and I was like, huh. Not that I was like, oh yeah, trauma is going to be in this. But the fact that people were just commenting how refreshing it was.
Oh, from that point of view. Because I'm like, I feel like I can see some trauma, but I mean, I know what you mean. Like, not the extent.
Drama, like Tyler Perry,
you know, the Black Pain, like
they were like, everything works out. Like, I was like, really? How are they gonna make a TV show where there ain't no highs and lows and things like that?
Yeah, so it was very mellow.
That piqued my interest on watching the show. What are your thoughts on the show?
Girl, it was relatable. There was a lot of relatable characters, a lot of relatable storylines, but also to me, there was like, what messed with my mind is the fact that I'm getting ready to raise a teen and she may have similar experiences, and that's scary for me.
Yes.
Like, I naturally parent from fear anyway, from a space of fear, which is not great. I try to dial that back, but it made me think about what could potentially lie ahead for us, what would I do?
What would I do?
What would I do? Again, spoilers, because are we getting into the deets?
A little bit. If you don't want to hear about this, you gotta like
move along, skip through.
See you at the end. Yes. Thinking about like raising a kid, because you are about to raise a preteen, and this show was all about teenagers and parent-child relationships. Yeah. From like, before we go into the nitty-gritty of like the parenting piece, one of the things like that I thought from this show was this was a very healed society.
It was.
That's what I'm like, it was. It's a fresh perspective of what it could look like to work through things.
Yes, it was. I think what stood out for me, and I'm glad you brought that up, I think what stood out for me was when Justin's mom asked him about Keisha's sex tape.
Yes. And she came back around.
And she asked about the village. She went on that listen. That was real for me right there. Because I think that was an opportunity for her to go like, ew.
Yes.
Keisha did that. I don't want Keisha for you. Mm-hmm. Right? She said that school let that baby down. Oh. When she said that, she said, but one thing we're not going to do, like that. Mm-hmm. We are her village and we are not going to let her down. I had to play that scene for Denny over because I absolutely loved it.
Was like parenting goals.
It was parenting goals for me.
Yeah.
It really was. And she's like, listen, I'm giving her the weekend. And on Monday, when I call Keisha's mom, I'm either going to check on her or have a very uncomfortable conversation. Mm-hmm. She's like, that baby's been carrying this
all by herself. And the way she also said to Justin, this is above you. Like, you can't help Keisha through this alone. But I don't know if you noticed, at first, what I like about Justin's mom, and even about Keisha's mom, they both had moments of, like, realness.
Yes.
Of, like, I maybe said some shit that hurt somebody's feel. Like, because even at first, Justin's mom was, like, did have that reaction about the sex tape. She was like, wait, Keisha has a sex tape?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
And then Justin was like, she's working, like, Justin's the one who brought the reality of like, this is hard for Keisha too. And then the part that is for me the healing is that Justin's mom was able to take that, come back to him and said, you know what, you were right.
Yeah.
She's been doing this alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a piece that felt like goals. Not having that reaction from the get-go.
Correct.
Because
I hear that. It's natural. We're human.
Yeah. It's human to have that instinct, that protectiveness of probably your child. But then to be able to like hear their response, take that feedback, and kind of course correct in such a short period of time, that's pretty admirable.
Something else that was admirable I found is that Justin's mom and Justin's family, their affluence, their, they lived in the hills versus the girl living what I imagine is the flat kind of thing. She never judged Keisha for that, or Shelly. Like, they were still good. Like, nothing changed. Even when she dropped her home, saw the area she lived, and not that the area was rough. I just mean like relative to where they live.
Yes.
Right? And I like that too about her. Her emphasis on Black love was really important for me too. Yeah, it was.
Well, for me, being an interracial relationship, it was interesting.
I hear that, girl. I hear that, I hear that. I didn't think about that.
No, it was interesting. I think I appreciate her attention to Black love. I do think Black love is something that is beautiful and sacred and healing. I absolutely do agree with that. But every time she mentioned it, I had to take a moment to be like, I can't sit there and say that. That can't be my parenting goals, because that gonna sound that gonna be a little hypocritical and hurtful.
Correct.
But I appreciate that it also didn't come across as pressure, but more as like,
like encourage
elevation.
Yeah,
elevation
yeah.
for
I
us.
see that.
But yeah, that was really nice how
Yeah,
she really focused on
Yes.
Black love.
But did you see Teen Randall from This Is Us?
Is he not handsome?
He is very handsome.
He grew up to be handsome.
He did. I saw him. I said, okay, is that you, Randall?
But even Keisha too. I watched her on
Greenleaf.
Yes.
She played Zora. Yes, the
And do you
rebellious
realize-
preacher's kid.
Yes, she looks like
Lauren Hill.
Lauren Hill.
In Sister Act. I have that in my notes, girl.
She looks like Lauren
Yeah,
Hill.
yeah, she did in Sister Act. It was the hoops. It was the braids at some point.
She had the braids at some point.
She had the hair. She
love
it.
And I think they knew that. You could
You
not
think
put
so?
her in that outfit.
The uniform too, because the Catholic school
Yes,
thingy.
you could not put her in that outfit and not have that. You know how they have inspiration boards?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had Lauren Hill. Yeah.
Somebody probably got fired though, because it was like it's an inspiration. They duplicated her. They sat her down in the same outfit.
Yes. Intelligent, feisty, the
All
whole
of the
gambit. I have it right here from
things. Me
episode
too.
1. From episode 1, I was like, yeah.
Really? It didn't hit me in episode 1. It hit me sometime where she was sitting on a couch at some point with Justin in Justin's home, and that moment I was like,
Let's talk about Justin's home. Oh, that home was nice, girl.
ooh.
The basketball court, the pool, the kind of open concept,
First of all,
modern
what were they
furniture.
doing in the pool? She left them in the pool and said, "I know what you're about." Okay, before we talk about that,
They were oversexed. These kids were having.
I do not want to know what my kids finna do.
I be telling you.
Lord.
I be telling you, girl. We don't want to know.
But not just their house. Martha's Vineyard.
Girl, I did not know
There was a black
section of Martha's.
I would have gone to Martha's Vineyard and sit my
We would
ass.
have been going. Was
the
it on
white section.
what was the name of the street?
Now
Oxford Street.
Now we're not even going to find
We're
it
not-
anymore.
Oh gosh. Oh my god.
But there was a black, and the way she mapped it out, though, you see how far away it was from the. I had to take a couple of buses.
It was, but they were having fun. They were
I was
doing
like,
their
that's
thing
a Martha's Vineyard
that
I
we
want
need
to go to.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Should we
Yes,
take a
ma'am.
sister trip to Martha's Vineyard?
Probably in the car.
Okay, we just need a little bit more seasons to make some money.
And some advertisers.
Okay, yes, come through sponsors.
Yes,
All right.
I did have one more piece.
Yes.
The double standard of how the sex tape affected Keisha than it did Christian.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, and she told him. She was not afraid
named
to
it.
tell him. She called it out.
Somebody needs to pay for this, not just you.
Yeah. You mean the mom when Shelly? Yeah. Okay. No, I meant Keisha also spoke to Christian about it. Like, what has happened to you?
Nothing.
How has this affected you? And do you think Christian was sincere in some of his apologies and stuff? I couldn't figure it out. Sometimes I felt he was. Other times I felt he wasn't.
This is what I'm going to reference back that Instagram post that I saw where they said there's no black trauma in this.
Okay.
And as I was watching this, I kept feeling in my body like, oh, some shit's about to hit the fan. Some shit's about to hit the fan.
I thought he was gonna do something.
And nothing ever hit the fan.
Yeah.
And because I think the producers were intentional about resolve, having some, if you notice, everything there was
came
a
up had
resolution.
Yeah.
I think this was their way of Christian having a resolution. So
by saying he's sorry and all the things.
I think maybe it's our own, the types of shows we were watching before this that made us second guess whether or not he's genuine. Okay. But I think they meant for him to come across
as genuine,
as providing a resolution.
Okay.
But in my mind, I was like, you gotta pay.
Yeah. But do you see why she didn't want him to pay? That part surprised me.
I mean,
which part? You go. Go.
I was gonna get a little technical here for a second.
Okay, let me hear.
Because I interviewed survivors of things.
Right.
And often they cited, like, I don't want this person who's hurt me to get punished for whatever it might be.
Okay.
And I felt a layer of that in Keisha's response of also not wanting a trial to happen, because first she'll be put on the stage. It'll again focus in on her. But also for him, the prison system and the judicial system is just not fair to black men.
Correct.
So I was just interested to see that sort of play out as possibly one reason as to why she did not want this to get reported. Yeah. To get bigger. What did you notice about her hesitation for the report?
When she said she sent it to him.
Yes.
She said she recorded. It was her phone.
That was
and
said
she
at the
sent
end.
him the
We didn't know that till then.
I was like, I see.
It gets complicated.
It gets complicated.
It's not
Because now
black
that's
and
a whole
white.
other thing that a lawyer can like flip and turn on his head.
Absolutely.
Man, anyway,
And
there was
also, if that would have gone down, Justin would have been implicated because in America, at least, that's considered child pornography.
But he didn't share it.
It doesn't matter who share it. Look at. He said he looked at it.
Somebody sent him a video and he clicked
Justin,
it.
that's how he got
That's
it.
how he got it. He said
okay.
How did you think he got it?
I thought he knew what was there and asked someone to send it to him so that he could like know what happened.
Oh, I didn't see that outright. But
Okay.
you're right. At the point when she brought it up, he hadn't seen it yet. This is
seen
true.
it yet, and so I thought
Randall sent it to him.
I thought after maybe a question about it,
Maybe.
he said
Okay,
it.
I
But
see how
either way,
that
it
could-
gets
it could
really
get
complicated.
Exactly.
in
And
that
muddied,
way.
right? It gets really muddied. Okay,
It's
fair.
not black and white.
What else I got?
I have here.
Uh-huh.
I really appreciate how the mothers talk to each other.
Me too.
And that love and support that they
Yeah.
really provided for each
Village,
other.
right?
It was truly a depiction of a village.
Yeah, she said the right thing. She said the right thing.
It was. And then the other thing I noted here was like, there's an element of this that makes you sort of, at least for me, knowing I was wild in my teen years, rethink how things could have gone. Not that I was wild like that. Oh, I should really correct that.
Yeah.
Not that she was wild. No judgment. I'm just saying it just makes you think about parenting from not a fear-based place. This really was a show
They
about
definitely did not. Keisha's mama been had her home by herself, girl. She was going and coming as she pleased. I said, Keisha. Keisha's like, yeah. You want to go tomorrow? She said, yeah.
come over.
What time? 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Okay.
Your mama ain't.
And you still not
in
home.
the beginning, I thought that was, and it was, in my opinion, it was. I mean, maybe you saw it differently because you saw it from a place of healing or no trauma. I saw it from a place of economic status. The difference in economic. Okay, because the mom had to work the two. Okay,
Yeah, we know absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't struggle in the TV show.
Right.
But everything had some level of a resolution
At some point,
no cliffhangers and
I get it. The kind of drama that we're used to on black dramas shows.
What lingering questions do you have?
No, one lingering question, and maybe it's gonna get answered in future seasons. But I was wondering why the specific setting of 2018, 2019.
The book. It's based off of a book. And I was wondering if the book, a Judy Blume book,
I saw that,
was set in 2018, and they wanted to be.
I thought Judy Blume was like an old author. Like she ain't around no more.
Ooh,
Ain't she like Agatha Christie?
she been around,
Cindy,
right?
please tell me this lady
She is a little bit.
still
87.
very much alive.
87.
Oh God, Cindy.
87. But
Oh, and the book was from 1975. Forever is from 1975.
I don't know then. Maybe they didn't want to deal with the pandemic.
That's what Denny and I were saying. Like maybe it has something to do with like what that time was like pre-pandemic.
Like TikTok, things like that. I don't know. It would have blown up more if there was a sex tape now.
Wow, Jesus
But
Christ.
we had a scandal. I'm not going to share too much, but back in the day, there was a scandal of that, and it was not handled this way.
No,
in the movie. No, in the Caribbean either.
Exactly,
not at
it was
all.
a different mindset, different time, right? Okay, fair. What other notes do I have here about that?
I had a thought about how it ended.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
This show kept taking me not where normal shows would go.
Yeah.
And I loved it in that way. And so the way that they just ended so peacefully,
Yeah.
I was like, huh.
I know. I guess when I saw, I was kind of disappointed with how it ended.
Yes.
Maybe because I'm a romantic at heart.
Yes.
I kind of wanted it to end with them together.
Yes.
When I saw season 2, I was like, okay, season 2 coming. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm a little hopeful. Maybe not even just about them coming together, but then there's more to the story. There's more. I don't feel like I'm left hanging. There's that. But I also wanted to address the pressure that his parents put on him about Northwestern.
Oh, yeah.
And going to the mom's alma mater.
Yeah.
And how he felt the pressure with his dad, like, praising him. The dad, though, was coming from more of an innocent place because he was like, listen, you are the first on my side of the family to go to college. I'm so proud of you and all the things, right?
And then he's been going to like a PWI this entire time.
Yeah.
And also ADHD. Like, there's a lot of things happening that I think that was really cool they depicted all of that.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about the pressure of college and what was put on him?
The mom, I mean, even when they went to the mixer for Northwestern after he got early acceptance, she spoke over him, and she wasn't like, you know, he was getting ready to talk, and she like spoke over him, so the lady like took over the conversation, and you could see that he felt like, okay, let me be, lady, let me
find myself. Let me find myself.
That's hard for a parent, though,
he did say he was lost, and he was trying to get through all of that. And
that lost thing came from Keisha's dad. It was true, but it came from Keisha's dad.
But it also shows you how just things get passed. We don't usually get to see who it came from.
It's like he planted the seed.
Yeah,
but
I thought that she truly believed it. It just made me think that's common. Like, parents say things to their kids, and then all of a sudden their kids be saying it to their friends.
Okay, that's what I thought too. I thought you were saying that the dad said it to her, but she was already thinking it. You were saying
no. I was just saying.
Yeah,
I was
agree
like,
with you then.
Okay. I mean, yes, I knew it wasn't Keisha's words initially, but I also was like, this is also true for
Justin. He was lost.
True for life. No, true for life. That we take, you know,
the things our parents say.
Yeah.
We're impressionable.
We're impressionable. And she was impressionable.
100.
I think I really liked his journey around his ADHD because I could definitely see the ADHD in terms of his hyper focus on Keisha, because it was this new thing, this new dopamine, all of the things around it. And I think initially, with dating and ADHD, there is a level of hyperfocus that makes you feel so special. So special. And then I think he really worked through to, like, again, there was resolution, no black trauma, that he was like reflective of all of this. And he's like,
and he told his parents, suck it.
He said, I need to find myself. I need to engage in things that I feel passionate about. And I think that was good.
Interesting. I think so too. And I'm looking forward to season two. Yep. No date yet, but I'm looking forward. The music was also really good in the show.
Oh yeah, the good music. I liked it. I was vibing.
Yeah, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston. I heard her. I heard Snow Allegra.
And
Summer
the music
Walker.
kept coming through in these intimate scenes, and I was clutching my pearls. You didn't clutch your pearls a few times?
I did clutch my pearls. I was like, these kids are having like a
right
lot
now?
of...
And out in the open?
Girl,
on the beach?
Our mama would kill us dead. Dead. Yeah, but no, it was good.
Right.
I mean, lots of themes of like parenting and trauma and education, wealth, legacy, all the things, sex, teenage anxiety,
coming of age,
anxiety. Honestly. Yeah.
Coming of age.
All the things.
Alrighty.
Yes, girl.
Let's wrap this baby up.
Yep, let's wrap it up. We're at the end, huh?
Yeah.
Man.
All right, Yang, I hope that you have enjoyed yet another episode 2. I feel like we're getting to the swing of things here.
We're finding our legs, our podcasting legs. Yes,
absolutely.
We absolutely are.
And thank you so much for hanging out with your favorite sisters. And remember to tell a friend to listen and join us in this little adulthood pod that we got going on here.
Yep.
Anything else you want to tell our listeners?
Every Friday, new episode every Friday, all summer long, 10 episodes. We cannot wait for you to hear them all.
Absolutely. Subscribe. What's all the things they're supposed to do?
Okay, so if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we do ask that you follow and leave us a 5-star review.
No pressure, but we do appreciate 5 stars.
Pressure. Definitely pressure. I'm just kidding.
Heavy on the pressure.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, like you said, and share this video with your friends. Yes. And also remember to follow us on Instagram at
the adulthood pod.
Good. And if you want to email us, send us inquiries, partner with us,
questions that you want us to answer on the pod.
Correct.
You can also email us at theadulthoodpod@gmail.com.
Correct.
All right. Bye.